What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Welcome to this week's the weekly rundown. So this is the Friday episode where we talk about everything else but cybersecurity. So definitely tune in, like go back in time and listen to Monday's episode where we talk about exploding USB drives. Tuesday's episode where we discuss the potential formation of a seventh military branch for cybersecurity. Wednesday's discussion where we talk about women in cybersecurity and opportunities, specifically Native American women. And then that's it for the week. So it's 3 episodes, action-packed. And then this episode, we talk about everything else: movies, books, TV, games, all that good stuff. So without further ado, Shannon, how was your week?
Man, it was a good couple weeks actually, because we had a little bit of a break in there. But yeah, so took in a couple movies. Took in John Wick. If I could do it, I would have some special effects behind me that were like fire, like that movie.
So we need production. We need a person who's willing to do it for free.
Yeah.
We got no money.
That movie is on point. Like, it's one of those things where you know what you're going there for, right? Like, if you're going there for big story and whatnot, like, this is the 4th one. Like, we know the story, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to delve into that.
I like that you said that though, like because I was like, man, for it, like, can they keep it going? Apparently they did.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, it was one of those things where it got high ratings on like Rotten Tomatoes. Like, the audience score was good, critic score was good, but like the people that did not like it, they were talking so much about story and whatnot, and I'm like we got that out of the way 20 minutes into the first one. They killed his dog and it went down. Right.
So is it still just moving? Like, is this like, did it pick up like
so it's different things. So like, if you've seen the third, like, you know kind of where it's going from there, right? So like, it picks up from the third. I don't know if it necessarily gives the timeline, so to speak, but it's not too long after the third one ended that this one, like,
so he did get a break.
Oh yeah.
He got to rest.
Within 90 seconds, bullets are flying. You know what I'm saying? This thing.
Got you.
So, but no, it was really good, man. The fight choreography was really good. I don't know how Keanu Reeves didn't like go into hibernation, like all the stunt work they had to do and whatnot. He does a lot of his own stunts, right? I don't know if he did everything, because some of the stuff in here, I'm like, that can't be Keanu. Like, that just, you know what I mean? He's a little for that, you know what I mean? But no, it's a really good movie. My wife and I took a date night, and that's what we went to see. But
gotcha.
Yeah, really good. So for anybody out there that's a John Wick fan, you will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? Now, by that's that guarantee, I don't give you anything if you don't like it. It's just like, well, okay, don't believe me next
your
time.
Money back.
Right. I'm not offering any money back, right? For somebody to con me out of my nickels. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, really good movie. Took my sons, we went to go see Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I like that one as well. I know it's not getting a lot of good reviews, but
it's not.
Yeah, for what it is, like, I'm kind of like, I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I know what we're going for here. So yeah, I liked it. I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but yeah, we all liked it. And my son, I got one that's young and I got one that's an adult, right? So for us, we got different things out of it. So that was pretty good. What else did I watch? I watched this series on Netflix. I'm like 4 episodes in. It's called Night Agent. It's not bad. The first 2 episodes, like, it's good with the action and whatnot. Then it kind of slows down a little bit, and then it's starting to pick up again. So but yeah, there's a conspiracy. As like, this is what Netflix does a lot of now, right? Government conspiracy, right? Some type, right? But yeah, called Night Agent. It's I'm liking it. But like I said, only 4 episodes in. I think it's a 10 episode arc, but I like the whole mystery of, you know, who done it, who's the person in the shadows that may be doing this. So like espionage. Yeah.
Double and triple crosses.
Yeah, for sure.
I can do a double cross. Triple cross is that's right. You get me. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Who is on what side?
Am I being inceptioned right now? Like, what is going on?
That's when you get to triple cross, I'm out. Yeah. I don't have the capacity.
So you weren't a double agent, you were a triple agent who's a quadruple agent. Like, yeah, yeah.
Right. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
But no, it's a good series. I think people will like it. The acting's a little hammy at times, you know what I mean? But um, for me, Netflix doesn't put out a lot of quality for stuff that they produce as much as they used to, right? So
Yeah.
it's more tolerable for me. But Night Agent, that's a good one. That's kind of it. Yeah, I can't say I haven't played any video games like at
No
all.
video game? Man.
None, not even, yeah, not even old stuff that I had. Haven't been doing that. So um yeah, that's kind of the big stuff for me that I've been watching. Another one was what was it? Inside Job was another one I watched, and I was a little disappointed in the second season.
Inside job. I
Yes,
don't know if I.
Netflix animated thing, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah. So the second season I wasn't too thrilled with. The first season I liked better. The second season was I don't know. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it was. I don't know. I probably won't watch the third. I'll say that when they come out with a third season because they left it open for a third season, right? I probably won't get into that. I did not catch up on. I still need to catch up on Mandalorian and Picard, because those series they're doing pretty good. I don't know if you've. I don't know. Did you start Mandalorian yet? Because I know you were
I
kind of.
did. I'm finishing up. Did I finish season one? I start season two, but
Okay.
I kind of fell off. I need
Yeah.
to jump back on it. It was great, great show. Don't get me wrong. I was doing too many shows at one time,
Yeah.
so it just that one fell off for a reason. But I know third season is like people are like yes,
Well, I
so I
mean,
got to do second season.
it is good. So like the third season is good. There was one episode that I didn't really care for. I think it was like episode 3. I think they're on 5 now. So I watched 3 and 4. I haven't watched the latest one. But
Mm,
like it was a lot of just following around this doctor and no real action. And yeah, it was, I don't know. It's probably something that's gonna
gotcha.
tie into the story later, right? But for me, I'm
Right,
like,
right. Like
eh,
it's building some hooks or whatever.
yeah, like show me some lightsabers, show them in the ship
Right,
stuff, you know what I mean? But
right.
yeah. Picard has been really good too, and I haven't
I
settled.
fell off. I didn't finish the first season, and I need to go back to that one too. Because like I got Star Trek overwhelmed because there's 3 shows happening at one time, and
Yeah.
there's more coming. They want to do a Geordie LaForge spinoff, which I'm LeVar Burton is one of my favorite actors, so I gotta watch that one when it drops.
And he shows up in Picard too, right? So like this last season of Picard, like it is going to be the last season. They've already said it. So you're seeing
Right.
a lot of the next generation folks show up in this one, and you're just like, oh man, you know what I mean?
I
Like
got I got to get into it. I heard second season was not that great though, so I'm like
no, it's not. I skipped it. I skipped the second season. So like
you
there's
went
a guy,
from 1 to 3.
yeah, there's a guy I work with, and he's really big into it, and I trust his opinion on these things. And he was like, "You can go without watching the second season and be fine." He was like, "I don't think
Okay.
you." And so far, it doesn't seem like I have, but he was like, the second season was. He's like, it was not good. So,
Mm.
all right, well,
I might do the same thing then, like to get me to the third season, so I can get ready for those spinoffs or whatever. But yeah, it was just too many shows, too many Star Trek shows. There's another right. So there's the animated one I never watched. They got another
lower
spinoff coming.
decks, lower decks.
Yeah, like I used to crave the Star Trek, but now it's just like there's too much Star. Like it's a whole channel. It's a Star Trek channel.
Paramount is, yeah, they do have a lot of Star Trek stuff on there. I mean, but
Yeah,
they were the distribution studio, the production studio, right? So like,
yeah,
they have all of it. So
yeah. And I guess I shouldn't complain, right? So I'm being spoiled with all this Star Trekness all at one time,
first world problems, right?
right?
That's what it is.
But yeah, I need to jump onto that. Let me see. What did I consume this week? Or 2 weeks. So I started Swarm. I think I'm on episode 2 or 3. It's very dry. It's like I think they call it dark humor or black humor or whatever, like the British dry humor, but it's made by Donald Glover, so Childish Gambino, and I think is it Malia Obama is one of the writers on the show as well.
She was a writer. Yeah, she's
Yeah, it's good. I like it, but it's very surreal. Like if you don't like Atlanta, you won't like this because it's Atlanta but dark. If that makes sense. The last episode I watched, so it's either I think it's the third episode. It had Is it Paris Jackson? Is that Michael Jackson's daughter?
Yes.
She was on it, and she cracks a joke. It made me laugh. Because they're talking about something, and she was like, "Yeah, my boyfriend really freaked out when he found out I was black." And the main character looks at her and says, "You're black?" And she said, "Yeah, my dad's half black." I was like, "Ah, I get it. That's funny." Um, but yeah. So I watched a couple episodes of that. Um, what else? I'm forgetting stuff already. I beat Miles Morales, so I beat a game for the first time in a long time. A really good game, perfect length. Games need to be shorter. I said it. Games are too long. I,
Wow.
I used to crave I used to crave a good 40 to 50 hour RPG, right? 100 hours, like, oh, I love that. But that's when I played one game every quarter, right? Because I didn't have access or money to buy. Like now, there's so many. I get 100 games a month from Game Pass. You can't all be 100 hours long. I don't want your battle passes. I don't want none of that. Just give me a story that's like 20 hours, like God of War, perfect. The Last of Us, perfect. Miles Morales, I think, was like maybe 10 hours, maybe. It was pretty short. If that was
You
it
didn't
even 10 hours?
you didn't do any of the side stuff then. I know it was more than 10 hours. You just
So it
main
said it said I did mainline it, but it said I was 83% done when I got finished with it. It gave me 83%. I was like, I don't remember doing that much stuff. Side stuff. So
I
I
remember it being longer than that. It's been a while since I've played it, but I
was it
remember,
longer than that? I don't know. I my concept of time with it because I stretched it out for so long,
you know,
but it was good. Like I could not put it down at the end. I was like, yeah, this is good storytelling right here. And then the graphics are just amazing. I was like, Spider-Man 2 is gonna be off the chain if they make it look like this. But yeah, it had a really good story. They fleshed out the character really well. Music was good. Soundtrack was real good. And yeah, I was very impressed. I even almost filled out the skill tree. Like, and I hate skill trees now. I'm getting so old because Diablo 4 came out, the demo for Diablo 4, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump on this. I literally played for maybe an hour and a half, and it was good, but my character was getting beat down. And then my son picked it up. My son is junior is 14, and he won like I'm not gonna say 100%, but he finished all the characters like the caps are like level 25. He got 4 characters up to level 25 over the weekend. And like I look at his skill tree and like he has all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, dad. Like he opened up mine. He was like, you need to do this, and this. I was like, I ain't doing all that. You do it. So he finished all my character for me.
you just hand them the sticks, right? Like,
Yeah, I
hey,
was
man,
like, you do it.
yeah.
You do it. It's too much. It's just too much. But yeah, like that game, also amazing. But I don't want to do all the things anymore. Like everything's an RPG now. I used to love like Final Fantasies and Skies of Arcadia and all those. I used to love a good RPG. Mass Effect, even like Mass Effect 2 and 3. Um, but I just can't. Like even God of War got me. I was just analysis paralysis. I like, I don't know. I don't know what to put on them. I don't know what to upgrade. It's just too much. These skill trees are just too robust. Just give me 5 moves.
But they are becoming so necessary. That's the thing, right? So like you have to do these certain things to get, more XP or to get certain weapons, you know what I mean?
Right, right. And then they can throw way more enemies at you, right? So you got to do like moves for crowd control um and I get it and I used to love it, but 39-year-old me, I just want to wrap it up. Just give me the game, just wrap it up. So I get to the next one because there's so many experiences, right? Like it's not like they're turning out a bunch of bad games. There's quality games coming out at a very crazy cadence. Because like if Zelda comes out in May, another 100-hour RPG. I'm like, well, I gotta play it. Um, so yeah, again, like with the Star Trek thing, I'm just being spoiled. That's the problem, being spoiled. So I finished that and I jumped on. I downloaded Horizon. Yeah, so Forbidden West, I download Forbidden West, and I plan on jumping on that. But I know that's going to be a 60-hour game. So it's either that or Ghost of Tsushima, which I've seen my son play, and that game also is going to be like a good 60-hour game. I'm just like, these games are too big. Give me a 20-hour experience at max. That's me going out my way to get 20 hours out of it. Let me mainline that thing in 8 hours.
I hear you on like
Yeah.
but for me, I'm different, right? In that I will just do one game at a time, right? So like for you, like doing the multiples like that,
Yeah.
I can see where you don't want to put that time in, right? You're like, I got to get to this, I got to get to this, and then life happens, right? Like you got other
Yeah.
stuff, you know, kids got
Right. Exactly.
to eat, they got to, you know what I mean? Like different extracurriculars. Like I get it, I understand it, man. So, but yeah, it's been years since I've like really sat down and put a lot of, let me not say that because I put 100 hours in the Horizon Zero Dawn, right? But
100
yeah, I
hours.
put over 100 hours in that.
That
But
is crazy. And that was with DLC, right? So that's
yes,
100 hours and the DLC. And this one has DLC. You see, I just dropped the Burning Shores or whatever for Forbidden West.
I hadn't seen that. No,
Yeah. So you got to play the game and then you got to get the DLC and play that.
man. Okay, I don't
You
know.
behind. You 100 hours behind right now, Shannon.
I know I am. Oh man.
It's like a job. It's like a job. You have to put in so many hours a day
Yeah, I
or a
can't.
week, I should say.
I just don't have the time for it anymore, right? Like I got, I got a son that does taekwondo, and then like there's errands to run. So like for me, like I try to do everything I need to do throughout the week. Like a lot of people will
Yeah.
wait weekend and get a lot of stuff done. I'm like, no, weekends for relaxing, right? So if the wife is like, hey, let's go do this, I'm like, yes, I am open to do that. I don't have to
Right.
do anything in the yard, in the house, or whatever. I did it all throughout the week. So if I catch that time, and I'm always the early riser in my house, right? So I could do it early in the morning, but it might be like maybe 2 hours at a time, right? And then a child gets up that needs to eat or whatever, right?
Mm.
Although my youngest son, he's getting old enough now to where it's like, all right, man, there's the cereal, there's the milk,
Right. Yep. Go grab
you
a
know,
cereal bar, some yogurt.
you know what to do in the microwave. That sandwich heats up like this. Tear open the end of the package and then do this, whatever it may be.
Right.
So it's really just would probably be just my daughter, really, if she happens to get up really early with me, and then making sure she eats because she's young. So, but yeah, no, I don't know, and it's to the point where I've had a daughter later in life to where my house will never be empty. By the time I'll have my house, I'll be like, I want to do something else. Like I don't want to play
Right.
anymore, right? But yeah, so that's just how it is.
Yeah. But no, I feel you on that one. But yeah, it's always I'm working towards that. Like I still save some stuff for the weekend. I'm just like, man, like at least have to have my Sunday free, right? Um, but well, then I do the podcast on Sunday. When they start paying me to do this, like when I get those Joe Rogan bucks,
Okay, yeah.
right? Like we just one session, that's it for the whole week. I spend my millions of dollars on
Is that what he
Lamborghinis.
is that what he does? He just does one a week and then he's
No, I'm sure because these people, your Steve Harvey's, your Joe Rogan's, like they just have so many different jobs. Like I'm sure his week is probably jam packed with just stuff, right? Like I watched Steve Harvey. It was an infomercial. I didn't know it. I don't know if you've seen this. He has an infomercial for a product for health and longevity, but it starts out with him. It looks like it's just an episode of something where he's talking about how he's run down from doing all the shows. Like he goes through his schedule where he's doing like Family Feud, he's doing the radio show, he's doing this, and then it flips and he got me, and I was like, oh, it's so good. He was like, and I just needed something to pep me back up, and I started talking to my team, and then he goes into the infomercial. And then he has people come up on his show and they sit down and he's talking to them. He's like interviewing them about like what they did to help him. And I'm just like, oh, you got me, Steve Harvey. And I watched the whole damn infomercial. It's like 20 minutes long because I wanted to see what he was taking. And it's a supplement. I'm just like, nah, I don't want no supplements. That helps with your oh man, what's it called? It's the thing the Jedi's used for the draw the force. Mitochondria? Is that what it's called? The little organisms that produce energy in your body, like they're real things. But George Lucas decided to make that with where the force comes from.
like mitochondria is a
There you
thing.
go, mitochondria. Yeah, there
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm not a doctor.
I didn't even know that was a thing in Star Wars. Like I've watched
It
Star Wars.
is like, yeah, yeah. So that's me as not being a fan at the time I heard about it. And I was like, oh, that's dumb. But I don't know if they recanted it, right? Because like the a lot of stuff's been retconned. I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but part of their energy comes from that. The force powers come from that or whatever. Um, that could be wrong. Somebody right now is yelling at their iPhone or their Android, who was a real Star Wars fan. I'm a Rogue One guy. Rogue One, uh, Andor, and now the Mandalorian. Anything that doesn't have Jedi's in it.
You know, I haven't watched Andor, but I've heard it is a good series. Like
Oh, it was so good.
I don't know.
But I was coming off of Rogue One, right? So I saw Rogue One. I was like, man, I really like that. I wish there was more stuff like this, and there wasn't. And then Andor was announced, and it came out really fast. They're like announcement, then the show popped off, and I was like, this is really good. And that was the hook that got me into Star Wars, the side stuff. So I'm not a true fan, but I did watch Obi-Wan, and I thought it was pretty good. But that's just one Jedi.
I did not
It's
like
not a
Obi.
room of Jedi.
See, and that's the thing is I did not like Obi-Wan. Like it had a couple good fight scenes, but like
Yeah,
that it was a lot more talking and
it
figuring stuff.
was. Yeah,
Don't give me that. I don't know why I'm just getting more and more like that. Like I don't need the talking. You know what I mean? Like I figure I don't know. It seems like my taste may be regressing, right? As you get older, you get more
about
mature.
that action.
More, yeah, I'm about that action, boss. I'm about that action,
Right,
boss. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know why I feel like that, but it's like, okay, I know there has to be story for some things, right? But like
right.
if you're doing a property that's already been established, like if you're doing a comic book type thing, like don't give me an hour of setting that up, right? Like
Right.
give me 20 minutes because we're in this day and age where I can go to Google and I can figure out how all that is. Just skim through it real fast for me. Not show me somebody diving off a building, you know what I mean?
Right.
Sitting on the roof, you know, killing people in prison or something. I don't know, you know, whatever it is. Right?
Turn
Daredevil,
dark.
Daredevil or Batman me, you know what I mean? Like that's what.
Right, right.
So I don't know. That's just how I feel about it now. And I think it's just so much more of that going on. Like when I watch some of these things that are series specifically, right? Like they'll spend the first two episodes just like talking it up. And I'm
Right,
like,
right.
you got to get me within the first three, like for me to continue. Right. But I don't know. But I'm not canceling any of my streaming services, so it's not like they're getting the message, right?
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I would say like or we could do like an Invincible, right? Like Invincible had a lot of talk in the first episode. And then that last 5 minutes, you're like, oh,
Oh, yeah, but after that though, right? So like after that,
yeah.
then it was okay, more action here, more action here, more action
Mm-hmm.
here. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. I don't think I watched any movies. I kept trying to watch the Tetris movie, but I could not fit it in time. So I will watch that though, because I'm pretty interested in there's a lot of these movies coming out where they're like semi-documentaries. They're like, here's what happened, but let's make it as entertaining as possible. So like the Tetris movie will be a lot of ground truth in there, but let's make it fantastical, right?
Mhm.
Running from the Soviets and stuff. Like maybe that really happened. I don't know. Um,
I want to see
but
Air.
there's
I want to
yeah,
see
I was
Air.
gonna say, but air is gonna be the same way, right? Like they're
Yeah,
gonna take like this is what factually happened, but let's make it entertaining. Let's
yeah.
strip away some of the boring stuff. And I think that's kind of where things are starting to head. Because people's attention spans are so like again, like mine. Like I don't give me a 100-hour game. Like the new Final Fantasy is about to drop. What is it, 15? And it wasn't really my cup of tea anyway, because it's more of the medieval type setting or whatever. It's just not really my jam or whatever. But if I were gonna play it, I know that's a good 120-hour commitment.
Yeah.
It's never the Final Fantasy. It's never that, right? Like the title is misleading, which actually came from the first Final Fantasy was really going to be their final game because they were going out of business, and it
Really?
blew up. Yeah, so that's where they got Final Fantasy. They're like, this is it. This is our swan song. And then now they're up to I don't even know how many Final Fantasies there are, spinoffs and stuff like that. And that was back when there was Enix and a Square, and now there's Square Enix,
Square
right? They
Enix, yeah.
merged, yeah.
Okay.
So, because one was Dragon Quest, and the other one was like Final Fantasy. And now, I guess one big conglomerate that does pretty much everything you can think of. But I digress. Nerd.
So in the last 2 weeks, was that when the Last of Us finale came out, or no?
No, that was like 3 weeks ago. I think I kind of talked about it.
Okay,
And did we talk about it? Like, amazing.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's like the Red Wedding, right? Like people who didn't see this franchise a decade ago, didn't play the game. They well, no, not in that respect.
I'm
Like
not falling for
not
this.
not putting you on. Yeah, not putting you on. Like like I was shocked by the Red Wedding episode, right? But people who read the books decades ago are just like, meh. So it's kind of like that. Like I think they did a really good job, but like the internets were in an uproar because you have people who were pro one character and anti another character because of the way it's a very um what's the word I'm looking for? Um it oh
Divisive.
man, what's the word? It's a very not diverse ending. Like man, it's a D word. It'll come to me. But it will put you on one side or the other. Either you agree with the protagonist's decision or you completely disagree. There's no in between. Like divisive. There it is. It's a very divisive ending. And it was like that in the game too. So, but it's different, right? Like I watched a really good interview where two people were going back and forth about how it feels different for people who played the game versus people who watched it. Because when we finished the game, there was a very strong opinion in one direction, but at the end of the show, it's pretty much split down the middle because, and I agree with the person who stated it. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but in the game, you are playing as the protagonist. I have control. I have some autonomy until the final decision is made, kind of for me, and it's like it felt weird. It's the first time I played a game where I did not that cognitive distance kicked in real hard. I was like, oh, I didn't like that at all. Like it drew an emotion from me. Like then games have done that in the past, but this was very strong. I was just like, woo. I had to put the controller down. the music is playing. I'm like, oh, I did not like that. And not that it was bad. Like they did a really good job, but they actually elicited emotion from me. Like I was really did not like that I had to do what I did. I was like, ooh, that did not settle well with me, right? But in the show, you don't play as those people. You're watching those people make their decisions, right? So it's different. So I think if you watch the show, I think you should play the game. It's a really good tie-in. Like Sony did an amazing job in the production. Like that, people are going to go back and play The Last of Us Part One, who didn't, and that's why just before the show came out, they did a remake, right? So they fixed the controls, they rounded off some edges, and they made it look pretty because they knew people were going to go back and play the game. Brilliant. Brilliant decision on their part because I want to play it again. That's how good it was to begin with.
Especially if they're going to charge the $70 that it is on the I want to say next gen, but current gen, right?
Mm-hmm.
The game. So like if they're going to,
Yep, $70
because they
for a
didn't,
10-year-old game.
yeah, and it didn't cost them nearly as much to just
Oh,
refine, right? It's not like they designed it all
right.
up. They just did some refinements on it. So that's a good business decision on their part.
But yeah, but when I saw the ending to the show, I was like, it was slightly different, right? Because you have different people playing it. Like you have Pedro Pascal playing Joe as opposed to Troy Baker or what have you, and the perspective of the character, they fill in some holes, they do some different things, so you get it's not like a Halo ending where it's just like where the hell did you get that from? It's like it's within canon. It just feels different because it's a different person portraying the character, and you're not controlling it. You're watching it. So I was like, this is excellent. Like, so like, I don't know if they can live up to it in season two though. Cause part two, The Last of Us Part Two was very divisive. People didn't even finish that game. There's a big community of people who could not get through that game. Not because the mechanics were bad, not because the story was necessarily bad, but they did not like the character. They were just like, oh, I don't like these decisions, right? Like it because you have to mechanically go through it, right? Like you're not playing a charming character who's doing X, Y, and Z. Like sometimes you're making really terrible decisions because you have to in the world that The Last of Us is. And you're like, well, I don't want to do that.
So do you think that's because people play video games to get away from reality? And with what's
Yes.
going on here, like this would be too like this hits too close to home. If this would happen, I could see that being the decision being made for survival. So maybe
Yeah.
people are like, I don't play video games to see real life. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to
Right.
do something here.
Right. Escapism. And it came out right after, like, it was supposed to come out like during the pandemic, and it got pushed, obviously, because of the pandemic. But it came out right at the tail end of the pandemic. So, like, it's a game about a pandemic. And you're like, it was just too much for some people. Like, I took a break. I only played it like because there's a halfway point in the like there's like a good intermission type situation where there's a break in the story and then it flips to doing something else. I had to take it like a 2 week break. I was like, look, I put this down. But I think that just goes to show how good the story is, right? And then the people who made it through were like, okay, I actually did like it, but I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I had to get through
It didn't
these
seem like it was
really,
going that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, there's a whole community based on that. So if they do that, if they do something similar for season two, which I think season two is going to have to be like season one was The Last of Us Part One, is the entire arc of the game. The second game is a little bit longer and it has a little bit more details, which I think will have to be at least 2 seasons to do it justice. So they have room in that, I believe, because they can't wrap up part two in 8 episodes. It's not possible. I'm really surprised they did it for part one, to be honest with you. So they have the ability to grow. And then I think this is going to lead to a part three. I think they're going to make The Last of Us Part Three because of the popularity. Like, you can't turn that money down. It's just not. It's just too much money. Sony's gonna like start making that script now. Let's start getting people mocap suits. Let's make this happen. And then that'll lead to another show, right? Like if season two is good, season three is good. They're like, yeah, I want to play, or I want to watch season four, which is the game I just played, right? Like, so they can keep going back and forth. Like, Sony's doing a really good job.
But then are you going to get into the whole Game of Thrones thing, right? So like the last season or last 2 seasons, maybe of Game of Thrones, like George R. Martin hadn't even written the books yet, right?
Right. And
So,
I think they'll have to take a break in order to catch up, because that was bad decision. Like, and for all we know, he may have told them to go that route, right? He might be using them as a scapegoat.
he could, right? And then he's like, "Well, I'm not going to write that now, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I told him I was going to do." But like,
He's like throws in the campfire.
yeah. But when it comes to video games, like because you're basing this off a video game, like you can have 4 year gaps between these games. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
HBO's not going to wait that long. Neither is Pedro Pascal. Like he is a hot property right now, right? To where he'd be like, I'm not freed up for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? I'm doing
Right.
Mandalorian season 6. You know what I mean? And then I got, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right. He's
gonna
got to be somebody else's dad in a different series.
exactly. And he could age out, right? Like it's the same reason Gunn is getting rid of some of these people for DC. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
be too old for the 10 years that I have planned for you. You know what I mean? So um I don't know. We'll see what comes of it, right?
Right. That is very true. But I think even season two is going to be delayed, or not delayed, but I think they said it won't drop until 2025, I think is what's projected. So they've already said it's going to be a gap between the two. Um, so they're already making space, but it could be because they're like, well, we got to figure out what part three is going to look like. So I'm sure there's just some synergy happening there where Sony's like, hey, they see all this money rolling in, they're like rubbing their hands together. What are we going to do, HBO? We gave you a hit. Like, we need that return on investment when it comes to our properties to drop another game or whatever. But yeah, it was just master storytelling. I think they did a really good job. I'm really looking forward to God of War when that drops. But that'll be an Amazon property, right? So, or produced by Amazon. So I don't know if it HBO caliber versus Amazon caliber. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much like, so yeah, I played Miles Morales. Oh, and then the last thing is I watched Marlon Wayne's stand up last night with my wife. God Loves Me. I don't know if you've seen it on HBO.
I've seen the thumbnail for it. Is it any
Yeah.
good? Probably so.
I would give it B minus, C plus. Like it's funny. But he's not really, he's a funny, the things he produces is funnier than his actual stand-up. And this is literally an hour set on the slap.
That's all
Like,
he's talking
so
about.
as but he ties into his own life. So that part's funny. Like, so because the whole premise is like that event happened because of him, is what he's trying to say. And then he kind of ties it back to how he knows Jada, Will, and Chris, and then different things in his life where they were in it and how it all came together, coalesced into the slap. So like, because him and Chris Rock are really good friends, but earlier on they were kind of rivals, not because Chris Rock needed it or whatever, but like he'd say he's like that mean stepbrother. And so he like used to heckle him and stuff like that as shows. And then the result was that was his prayers answered. But he says in a joking way, like he gives all three of them a lot of credit for the work they've done and the impact they had on his life or whatever. But then he's also a comedian, right? So he's also cracking jokes on them and about, you know. So I thought it was he got some chuckles out of me, but it's not a Chappelle production, right? It's not a Chris Rock production. It's a Marlon Wayans, and he's funny, but again, he took like a 20-year break from stand up, right? Like he did stand up way back in the day, and then he didn't. And he did his shows that were successful, his movies were successful, and now he's back in stand up. So, and he talks about how that all came to being as well. Like and a lot of it was Chris Rock. Like he goes all the way back to "I'm gonna get you, sucker," because he was supposed to be Chris Rock's character in the movie. Is what he was promised by his brother, and Chris Rock was blowing up, and he said he had a conflict with school. So instead of being the Rib Man was the character, he became pedestrian number two, and that was the beginning of uh, the story that became the future of the slap.
Is he that old?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm
Yeah,
gonna look up was
he's
late
in
80s.
his he's like in his 50s. Like he might be just
Really?
turning 50. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like he was like he makes jokes about that. He was like, I just went through puberty.
Yeah,
So
because like
it's
when you said I'm gonna get you sucker, I was like, wait a minute, that seems
he was a teenager.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was a teenager. And so that stuff is cool, like for him to go back and then tell these stories about these people when they were earlier in their career, because he talks about Will when he was on Fresh Prince and how some stories about that. He talks about Jada earlier on in her life because they were really good friends who lived down the street from each other. And then he has lots of stuff about Chris Rock because there's that, comedic synergy where they kept running into each other in life and things of that nature. So that for the story part, I think it's worth a watch, but it's not gonna make you break a rib, right? Like you're not gonna get better abs from laughing at this special. So take it for what you will, but I think it's worth a watch if you got nothing going on.
We'll see. We will see.
Yeah, yeah, but that's pretty much it. That was my couple weeks. Pretty entertaining. So I think this week coming up, like I said, I'm going to jump into one of these games. I got to pick one, and I'm going to watch that Tetris movie. I got to squeeze it in. I want to learn more about Tetris, one of my favorite games of all time. So
Yeah, I don't know. I just like watching the trailer. It's gonna be it's kind of like I know it doesn't directly correlate, but like what's the one that Michelle Yao won for? Everything everywhere all
oh
at once.
yeah, all at once. Yep.
Like it's just weird stuff to be weird stuff. Watching the trailer, like if the stuff that's in the trailer is what's in the movie, where all of a sudden you're seeing blocks in the middle of the back, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't need that, you
But that
know.
was the thing. Like that was a I forget what they call it, like Tetris fever or something like that. But people would see it in their dreams, and they would like it would be imposed in their vision or whatever. Like that was a phenomenon that was happening because people were playing Tetris so much. I used to dream Tetris. I would like legitimately. Kid in the 80s, my aunt bought me a Game Boy and Tetris. I used to play that thing. Not well, obviously, the Game Boy batteries sucked, so I would play it for an hour at a time.
I was gonna say like it would die pretty quick and it'd be pretty drastic. Like it would go within 5 seconds, like it would dim.
Yeah, it like boop. You get the red light. Like
Yeah.
boop. Man, that was my jam. That was my introduction in the games. Pretty much was Tetris on the Game Boy with the monochrome screen, and Railvac batteries. Used to go to Family Dollar and get them super cheap batteries, cost $1. They will last like 30 minutes. Buy a 5 pack.
You want to know something crazy is like, yeah, I was a big Tetris fan, but my grandmother, man, she was very good at Dr. Mario. I don't know if you ever saw Dr. Mario with the pills that were different colors.
I suck at it.
My grandmother was a beast. Like this old woman was whooping up on her grandkids constantly. We used to spend the summers up there, and she would just be like, we went down there one summer, and there was a Nintendo in one of the rooms, and we were like, "Yo, Nanny, like, what's up with this?" She was like, "Oh, I play every so often." We were like, "What?" And she
Right.
needed to whoop all of us in Dr. Mario. I was just like, "What?"
She hustled y'all.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It was crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Tetris. I did.
Yeah, that was my jam, man. I can still the music started playing. I'm like, oh shoot, let's get it. But
I don't know if I ever told the story real quick. I know we I
mhm.
wrap it up, but like real quick, like I came across Tetris for Xbox years and years ago, right? Like it was in color, it was ramped up a little bit. I ended up buying it, and my wife sat down and played with me, right? And so like she never played video games with me or anything, and I was enjoying the time. So there would be times I was just letting her win. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
did I ever tell you this?
No.
I was letting her win, and she started talking mess. After a little while, she started talking mess, and she does not do that. Like she's got a heart of gold. You know what I mean? She is definitely the yin to my yang. And I was like, okay, enough of this. So like, I put the reel on her, and she didn't want to play Tetris with me anymore. I was like, okay, maybe I should have just took them words. I should have just took that heat. But I was like,
Right.
nah. I was like, let me show you how I really got
Like
down.
it's game time.
Yeah, yeah. And like she was like, what? Like all of a sudden she started losing constantly. And I was just like, she was like, all right, I got stuff I gotta do. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's funny.
I love her. I still love her. I'm in love with her. So,
That's hilarious. But with similar story, but with air hockey. So one day, was talking mess. I was like, all right.
But I grew up in the putt. Like this is what I did. You know what I mean?
Like, okay. But no, that's hilarious. But that's what you do when you're courting.
And look, you got that reach too, Ryan. Like you was probably halfway across the
I'm hitting
table.
them
And like,
angles. Like bink, 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 bink. Scoring that will over here. But but no, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. But thank you, Shannon. It's always a great time. Definitely continue to tune in. Check us out next week. Same. What is it? Same bat time, same bat station.
same bat
uh,
time, same bat channel.
right. So Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday our discussion, and then Fridays we do this where we talk about everything else. So definitely continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe. All the things I always forget to tell you. Hit a bell if there's a bell involved, so you get to see us when we drop these episodes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check out all of the websites that go by our names. Hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. Stay safe, stay secure.